Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Jenny from Art by Jenny K. I have a couple of things to show you today that I think are kind of fun. So I've been watching the last few days videos from several different people who have used this some kind of crystal clear top coat paint that I don't have. Just to be honest, I don't have any of it. And I thought it was kind of cool, so I thought I could see if I could replicate it with something I had. And so I did. So I've made these little charms, kind of these little coins, I guess, or charms. I'm thinking I would probably use them as charms or tags. Like I would poke a hole in it and put either a little jump ring through it or a ribbon or something, and I could use it as a tag, or I could put it on to something. So I have these that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to see if I can, see if I can get the camera. Oh, camera. There we go. Maybe not, so see if I can get the glare off of there. So this is one, and it has kind of a coating on it, so you can see it's got that shiny kind of there's kind of a plasticky feel to it. This is a cutout from a magazine. So I really liked it, and I'm going to show you some more of those. We're going to make one of those. And the back side is painted, having trouble with here, is painted in gold. It's a little lumpy, you can see. I tried a couple different things, so I'll talk about what I tried. This one is a book page that I had printed a butterfly on. Try to get it so the glare doesn't, there we go. So the glare doesn't get on there. It's definitely a shiny surface, but I printed a butterfly from, I'm trying to think of where I got it from. It's a royalty-free image. It's in the public domain, and I'm just blank to where I found it, but it is a royalty-free public domain image that I printed on a book page that I ran through my printer and then created this. Here's a piece of vintage sheet music that I thought was really pretty. Trying to get back in the center here. So I thought this was really pretty, and it's not quite as shiny as some of the others, but it is, well, I guess when the light catches it, it is pretty shiny. And then there's this one. This one's kind of cool. So it's shiny, but there's definitely a bubble. I don't know if you can see, trying to get it so you can see the texture. I don't know if you can see. I used my heat gun on this one, and it bubbled the surface, which is kind of cool because it's kind of got this old texture to it. This is just, I know, I keep moving my hand in the wrong direction. This is just a stamp. So I just stamped this clock on a piece of paper and then attached it, and I distressed it and stuff. So I'm going to show you how I made these today. And it was very easy. And it was using things that are around the house that I think you'll probably have. Okay, so I'm going to set those off to the side so that we can start. So the first thing I did is I used a piece of composition book cover, and I cut circles. Okay, so I just cut a bunch of, oops, those are stuck together. I just cut a bunch of circles out of the composition book, and I just used my circle punch to do that. So I literally just started at the corner to try to get as many circles, went flying, as I possibly could. Let's see if I can do this one without getting it to fly. There we go. So you can see, I just used my circle punch and made some circles out of composition book cover because it was pretty sturdy without being very thick. You can see it's pretty thin. So if I wanted to put it on something, it would still be very thin. It's not going to take up a lot of bulk, but it definitely has a more grandiose look, I think. Okay, so after I did that, I put some gesso on the white side, on this side, right, to cover up some of this. I put a little bit of paint on one side and it didn't cover all of it, so I just put a little gesso. You could paint it. It would just take a little extra paint maybe if you didn't want to gesso it out. So because of the gesso though, I've got a little bit of texture on some of them. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to get this so you can kind of see the white in that angle, but mostly you see gold. There's a little bit of texture because when I put the gesso on, I just used my finger. I didn't use a brush or anything. I just used my finger. Several of these too, this one, for example, I painted in silver and I thought the silver was too bright, so I did gold over it. So I thought that kind of made an interesting look. So it kind of looks distressed. It sort of looks like gold and silver together. So that's kind of cool. So there was several of them I painted silver and then I painted gold over them. I didn't care for the silver, so and this is the gold I used. It's just a basic, this says metallic bronze, so it's like an aged gold. So I just used a basic acrylic paint to do that. So I painted one side. I have to confess, I did try on a couple of these. I tried some, this one you can tell. I tried some kind of bronze color and it didn't work very well underneath, so I covered it up with the gold. It was kind of a bronzy nail polish, believe it or not. Which is what we're going to use. That's the secret here. So I have some nail polish. I don't know about you guys. This just happens to be the base coat and top coat of what I have. It says gel nail polish. But I think you could probably use any base coat and top coat. I don't think it has to be this. And I was trying to get this shiny look. I wanted it to look like it was sealed in, into kind of a coin or a charm or something like that I could put a hole in and attach. I think these would make really cute tags. I also think they would make really cute decorations on the outside of a journal if you poked a hole and put like a little jump ring and then strung them down the side so they kind of hung down the side like charms. I think they would be really great as that. Okay. All right, so I've got these, and so I've painted one side. So I've got like a dozen of them here. About 10. I got 10 left. I've got 14 now. So then I have some things that I just had already done and used my hole punch on. So these are just stamps that I stamped last night. Just a plain old ink stamp, and I just did it on some scrap paper. And then I just hole punched it out. So I just thought they were cute. I kind of have a little stash of these that I keep, and so this one's on kind of a blue, and these are kind of cream colored, So I thought those were cute. Then I also I also punched out a couple of pictures from magazines. Oops, that one's kind of got a little edge on it there, so I should trim that off maybe. So I got these just from magazines. They're just little flower pictures. Let's see if I can hold them up here maybe a little bit so you can see them better. I guess I could have maybe held these up a little better so you could see those too. Right, they're just little stamped images. Then I have these, which is some more. I have a few more of those butterflies that are public domain images that I printed on book pages. So, and this was a fairly sturdy book, so I ran it through my printer. And then I have a couple of things. This is from a book, a cutout from a book that I just punched. And this is from a card. So this is from a vintage card that the back was kind of destroyed. And so I just punched that out too. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach all of our little circles to our cardstock, right? So you could use cardstock, I think. Might not be quite as thick as this, but this is a fairly thin cardboard, but it's still pretty sturdy. So I'm just gonna run the glue. I want it right up to the edge, but I don't want very much of it. Because I don't want to get it everywhere, right? But I do want it up to the edge because it is gonna cover the edge. So we're just gonna line those up and glue them all down. So I have a little wipe here. I can wipe down the edge. I do think it's nice because they look kind of substantial, but they're thin enough still to, you know, not be bulky. So I think they would be really good in a journal. So I have a couple of projects I'm finishing up right now, and then I am getting ready to start my next journal project. Right now I'm finishing up a commission piece, and I'm almost done with that. I think I'll finish it this weekend and ship it out and away. And then I'm going to start a journal, which I am going to film all of the things that go in this journal as a series. So it's going to be a journal with a sewing theme. This is the one that I had that little edge apparently that I caught on my punch. Sometimes my punch doesn't do quite right, but I'll trim that off in a minute when we're ready to doctor these up. So I'm going to do this sewing themed journal. I have a friend whose birthday is in April, and she likes to sew. And so I'm going to make a journal for her. She also enjoys journaling quite a bit. This is going together pretty fast, I think. And so I'm going to shoot a whole series on that journal. So I'm going to make the journal, and I'm going to show you how I made the journal, and then I'm going to decorate the pages, and it's all going to be on this sewing theme. And it's kind of cool. I have some vintage patterns that are going to be really cool. And I'm going to do something on each page that relates to sewing. I have not personally put my paper in my sewing machine. So that's going to be a new adventure for me. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm excited about the challenge of doing something different that I haven't done before in a journal. The other thing I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to decorate the pages before I bind them, which I haven't done before either. I usually bind the journal and then decorate the pages. So I'm really looking forward to that series. So I hope you'll join me for that. I'm not sure how many videos that's going to take because we're probably going to build the journal in the first video, and then we'll start decorating some pages. So it'll be a lot of fun, I think, to have some sewing stuff. I've got some cool things planned, and then we're going to make some cool tags and things like that to go in the journal. So that'll be cool. I'm just really excited about it. You know, one of the things I really like about doing circles is that there's really no there's no top and bottom. You can kind of put it anywhere on the circle. So that's always cool. When I was doing the first few of these, I did learn that I needed to paint the back before I glued the front on. A couple of them I actually glued the front on, and then I painted the back. I thought, oh, I'll glue this on. This will be cool. We'll see how this top works. And I got the top all done, and then I painted the back, and I managed to get paint on the front. So that was a lesson learned. And on the back, I had tried using, since we're going to use the clear nail polish on the front, I thought, oh, well, maybe I've got some bronzy, goldy, kind of cool nail polish for the back. So I did. I tried some kind of copper and some gold and some silver, and then it just kind of never really set up right, and it kind of looked lumpy, which kind of made some of the stuff lumpy. So, all right, so here are our coins or charms, whatever you want to call them. Grab some scissors. I'm going to cut off this little bit here that I didn't get with my punch. Apparently my punch is older and it's not quite as sharp as it used to be. So that's okay. All right. Oh, so the glue I'm using is from Barely Art. It's Precision Craft Glue. It's got that little tiny metal tip, which helps me portion it out so there's not very much glue. Gets enough glue to get it on there, but not so much that you have a bunch, you know, seeping out or wasting. So I think that's good. And I really have liked this glue. No sponsorship there or anything. I just like the glue. It's worked really well. So I got it on Amazon, I think, and I liked it. Okay, so here's what we have. I do on the ones I did here, I did kind of age this up a little bit. I put some of the Distress ink around the edge, and then I kind of put some in the center. I really wish you guys could see the bubbles on this. It's really kind of cool. It just makes it look kind of old and bubbly there. And I aged this one too. Now this one was a magazine page, and the glue it kind of got a little bit of glue and it kind of wrinkled a little bit, but that was kind of neat. It kind of made it have some texture. So I aged that. I did age up the edges of this. This was vintage paper, so it was already that color. And I did do the edges of this one too. See, here's one of the ones that I got a little bit of the paint on that I was telling you about. So I have my Distress ink here, so I'm going to pull out Vintage Photo. And then I think we're gonna ink up the edges here, just to give them a little bit of color. So this is a magazine, and the really super bright new colors, you know, may not be what you want. If you want it to look kind of vintage, this is what I was doing with the Vintage Photo. I put a little extra right around the edges, you know, if you go around the edges. Makes it a little heavier there. But even over the color, you can put just a little bit and kind of rub it down, and it's gonna take that color down a notch. So you can see that looks a lot more aged. Even though the color is still there, the color's bright and it's still pretty, but it doesn't look as new. So we'll do the same thing to this one. So these are the Tim Holtz Distress inks, and I got them for Christmas, and I can tell you I love them. They were one of the best Christmas presents I got. My hubby got me all kinds of cool little artsy things for Christmas, and I know he's like, well, gosh, Jenny, just buy it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I want it for Christmas. So you can see on the yellow especially, this really makes a big difference. When you put that Vintage Photo over the top, it really just makes it look aged and vintagey, which is what it's supposed to do. But even magazine pages that are really bright, right? And you'll be able to see it a lot on this one. I put a good deal here because I want this one to look old. So you don't have to put quite as much, but if you do, it really has kind of a really neat look. I mean, I could have, you know, put that on coffee dyed paper, but I didn't. And since I didn't put it on coffee dyed paper, you know, and you don't have to be quite so heavy handed with it. I mean, I was pretty heavy handed with that one. You could go lighter. But sometimes I just get carried away, right? So I could stop there, and it just feels kind of vintage around the edges, but I really like that look across the whole top of it. And, you know, not everywhere, because it doesn't have to be quite that dark, right? And even this one is kind of a bluish paper that I printed on. And so you can see the Vintage Photo looks really good on it too. So even that blue, it still kind of shines through. You can still see that it's not really white under there. a lot of other colors too. I just thought this was fun with the vintage photo. But I do like a lot of the colors. Oops. So we could go with a different color, you know, if we wanted to do something lighter. This one is vintage to start with, so maybe we won't put so much on that. Let's try. We could try a lighter color and see how that works. This is an antique linen, which is much creamier. So let's try that, all right, and see. Doesn't give us a whole lot of effect there, but a little bit. A lot more subtle. But since this is a vintage card to start with, I don't know that we want to color, you know, we don't want to color it up too much. Right? So we could put maybe just a little on it, just to blend it a little bit. So that one's quite nice, I think. We could try some colors too if we wanted to. This one's black and white, but we could do something fun like the aged mahogany. Let me find, there's the little dauber. So let's try that one. Ooh, that's kind of cool. We'll add a little bit of color to it since it's already black and white to start with. Just a little. Oh, it's like putting on rouge. Oh, I like that. That's cool. So I've got the book page, and then I've got the black and white butterfly, and then I've got some of that vintage mahogany. That's fun. Let's see. Let's go back to the vintage photo for this one. Because this is from a book that had reprints of vintage images. So the book itself is pretty shiny, but the image was from a vintage card, right? So I think if we kind of do it, yeah, I like that one. That's good. Oh, let's see, we have two more. We have a purpley and an orangey. Let's try this one. I really like peeled paint. That's one of my favorite colors too in here. There are such really good colors in here. So let's try the peeled paint with this one. Oh yeah, that green. I'm just a sucker for the colors, so. So we can just do a little on the book page here, just to, oh, see, that's nice. Very nice. Maybe we'll do that same green on this. I think the green is good. Peeled paint is one of my favorites. So you can get the small, like, collections of the small ones, which is, oops, getting away from me there, which is what I have. There are the large distress ink pads, but then I have the small ones, and my husband bought me the really cool little tin that holds them and stuff too. So I am really loving this. This is a lot of fun. All right, so off to the side those go. All right, so now we have made these look a little more vintage, and we're ready to paint them. Now, I had two different things here, so I'm going to kind of scoot them off to the side because we're going to paint them one at a time. I had two different things. I had the base coat, which it says is shiny, but it's not super shiny. So I don't know, if you have a base coat, you might want to try it and see if it's not quite as shiny as one of the others. I went back over these with the top coat because the base coat wasn't shiny enough for me. I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was super shiny. So, so I think the base coat was a little more closer to matte. I mean, it was shiny, but not super shiny. So I'm going to use the top coat. And like I said, I have seen over the last few days multiple videos with people who have some kind of crystal top coat paint, something that I just don't have. And you know, they're working with it, and it's making it this cool sealed top, and it's all shiny and it looks really neat. But I didn't have that, and I'm not patient enough to wait to order some. So I did not. I decided I was just going to use nail polish. So you can see when you first put it on, it is very wet looking, and so it kind of soaks down into the paper. So we're going to put that to the side. As it dries, it will look a lot less soaked. So the first one I did, I was like, oh my gosh, I've ruined this. It's soaked through and it's going to look terrible. But then I thought it looked pretty good, actually. So that's what we're doing. It's a little less wet. Oops. Okay, trying to get this picked up without messing it up, because I haven't got part of the edge there. So I just kind of worked from the center out to, you know, to cover it. One of those was only, I gave it 1 coat, and then a couple of them I gave it 2 coats. I kind of just waited till it was dry to see how it looked. And luckily, you know, nail polish dries pretty fast, so I didn't have to wait very long. Because I'm too impatient, you know, I didn't even, you know, wait till I could order some of the crystal, whatever it is. It would be nice if I knew what the name of the product was that I'm trying to imitate, but honestly, I just don't. So I've just watched people do it, and it looked cool, and they made like these charms and these tags and all kinds of cool little things, and they were all sealed and pretty, and it just looked nifty to me, and I thought, oh, I want to do that, but I don't have any of that. So alas, right? I really like that vintage photo on the magazine flowers. That really did a nice job making them look not quite so new. So I've got some little strings here coming off of that nail polish, but that's pretty normal with nail polish. Right. Just want to make sure I get the whole thing. So you can see I'm not very good at painting my nails. I'm not very good at applying the nail polish here. I have lots of nail polish, but I never wear it because, you know, 10 minutes after I put it on, I stick my fingers into paint or ink or something like that, and then I'm scrubbing them, and then the nail polish is half gone. And so, you know, I am not very good at keeping nail polish on, and I'm not very good at applying it. Luckily, this is not too fussy, right? You just want to cover it. I suppose I could try to do it down here, but honestly, it's just easier to see up here. And really, we're just going for, you know, kind of a little charm effect. So, and they're supposed to look old and kind of vintagey, so if they're not perfect, that's okay. They're not supposed to be perfect. I think if this just happens to be the top coat that I have. If I were going to buy some top coat, I would recommend just going to the dollar store and buying, you know, the least expensive top coat I could find. I don't know that this is the least expensive, but I doubt if it was very expensive, because honestly, I just don't spend very much money on nail polish. So it couldn't have been too much, because I just wouldn't spend it on it. Got a little edge here that I see that's not quite covered. There we go. I just love how that green looks. 2 more. And you'll see that different things look a little bit different. So the thinner papers through, but then after they start to dry, they dry back out a little bit and you don't see so much. And like I said, if you hit it with your heat gun, you might get that kind of bubbled texture, which I thought was fun. So we'll see in a second here. Maybe we'll pick one and bubble it a little bit, just to speed it up and see if we can get some of that texture. But I thought this gave a nice semblance of that shiny, you know, charm-like texture, like it's sealed and it's shiny. You could probably even put it on the back so that the back side, like if you wanted to make the back side look shiny too, you could do that too probably. Okay. Let's see, there's the, whoops, oh my gosh, just stuck them together. Oh, good heavens. Oh well, okay. This one is almost dry on its own, but let's see if we hit it with the heat gun, if we can get it to bubble a little bit, because I thought that was fun. So let's move these over here. Might be a little dry. Maybe if we put, let's throw a little more on there and see if we can get that one to bubble. Didn't do a very good job of keeping those apart. I just, you know, drop them onto each other here. I think it was just too dry to bubble. It's kind of cool though with that old look. This one might be fun. Okay, now that it's nice and wet, let's try it again. Let's see if we can get it to bubble. There we go. All right, so you can see I got it to bubble up. It kind of bubbled that little, you know, cooked that on a little bit. And so it gave it a really kind of rough, bubbly texture. It's really kind of fun. I don't know. I don't think you can see the texture, but it's too bad because it's really fun. So I don't know if you can see it or not. It doesn't seem to want to show up on the camera. All right, but either way, so that one's nice and bubbly. These others are shiny and pretty. So we could bubble them or not as we choose. And then these are the ones that I already had. So you can see these are gonna make really cute little charms or decorations. You could use them as the basis of a cluster. Like this would be really cute. You could put a little piece of lace over it and a button or something like right on the corner and use it as a little cluster. And it's thin enough that it's not going to take up a lot of bulk, so you can glue it down, or you could punch a hole in it and use it as a charm. You could punch a hole in it and put some ribbon through it and use it as a tag. So I think there's lots of little uses for these, and I'm going to put these in my stash, and I think you'll probably be seeing them again in that sewing themed journal that we're going to start soon. I hope you enjoyed this. If you had a good time, if you found some value here, please hit like and subscribe. That really helps me a lot. Thank you so much to those of you who have already subscribed. It means a lot to me, and I'm really grateful for you and your support. If you'd like to help support me in making more of these videos, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks a lot. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. This is Jenny. Bye.